Hello, David Spicer here with a special episode of Stage Whispers Television Live, brought to you, sponsored by the Australian Musical Theatre Festival, which is next month, only 6 weeks away. And I'm joined in the studio by none other than the impresario, singer, teacher, debonair performer, Tyran Parke. Hello, Tyran.
Hello, David. It's our annual catch-up. This is great.
It's our annual catch-up coming to you from the AMTF studio in Melbourne. You've got the love
my kitchen
with a lovely picture on the back of you in Barnum. Oh, wonderful! Well, let's start with a bit of razzmatazz because the AMTF is just so exciting. Let's have a little bit of a video taste of what a festival looks like and feels like. Wonderful. But of course, that was last year's festival, which we've missed. But if you've missed out on last year's festival, what about this year?
That's right. We keep coming back and it keeps getting bigger and better every year. So it's funny because I haven't looked at that footage for a while now. And so I think, oh my gosh, it's grown so much. Each year I feel like I'm saying that, but I look at that footage and go, oh, wow, everything has kind of built upon that, which is the beauty of having a kind of regular gig that's a festival.
So it's May 15 to May 19 in Launceston at Princess Theatre and venues all across beautiful Launceston. What's new? What's different about this year's festival?
Look, I kind of look at, as I said, I look at the footage that you have there and I go, it's all of those things. It's all the things we love about music theatre. And one of the kind of things that people say to me is why Tasmania? Why Launceston? And it's so great. I know you've been there, David. You were our guest one year. The city's so small that you really do feel like you are part of a festival. So you go from one event to the next. And I think what we've done, what people will really notice this year is we've given people choice every night. So when you come to the festival, there feels like in the past few years, we've realized we've got two kinds of people that come. We've got a lot of people who want to be in musical theatre, who come to do classes and they come to, learn from the best and work with the likes of our kind of international stars. And then we have all the people who love to come and enjoy the best of Tasmania, the wine, the food, the culture, and have music theatre there. So to go along and see music theatre done in a different way. So this is a picture you're looking at now is from the stage of the Princess Theatre, the beautiful Princess Theatre. And I often think the performers sometimes get the best views. So, we take people and we take them into all the areas they can't usually go. And we do musical theatre in laneways and we do it in churches and we do it in pubs, as well as the beautiful theatres that we have in Launceston. So it really is, you can't see musical theatre done like this in any other way. And I guess this year, when I first took it over, this is my fourth festival, there was a conversation, David, about how do you even do musicals in 5 days? That's beautiful. That's at the Gorge there. It was a beautiful site, very important for the traditional custodians of the land. And that's Nayara, who's a Indigenous singer who now, through the festival, kind of found her voice and now lives in London. She's studying at the Royal Academy of Music with wonderful Rachel Beck. So these are our guests last year. And this year we have an amazing lineup. And as I said, we looked at, once you get people like, the people that we've got, you go, how can we put them into shows? How can we make productions? Bearing in mind that the festival only runs for 5 days and usually it takes 5 weeks to rehearse a show. So we just do it in very specific ways. So we've got 3 musicals this year. Previous year,
3 whole musicals.
3 musicals, that's big enough. But then when you consider that there's 20 other events that are going on, it's kind of crazy. I've made a bit of a rod for my back, but we kind of found this way during the pandemic of how to create these shows, which is everybody learning their pieces in other states. So we've got 5 We've got 5 states in rehearsals in 5 states at the moment.
Wow.
Everybody brings it to Tasmania. We put it together. It's got to be the right kind of show. So
Right.
we've been really lucky because when we first started it, it was a bit of an audacious idea, and we had Jason Robert Brown's Songs for a New World, and he allowed us to do it in this way and then kind of put it together on the day with a full orchestra.
Yeah.
And that went so well that news got back to Jason Robert Brown. Then the following year, Andrew Lloyd Webber allowed us to do a version of Tell Me on a Sunday, which is usually a one-woman show, but we broke it up with 9 amazing women.
They all could. Wonderful.
And they all kind of parts of it. That's right.
So tell us who are your I mean, you've got a great program, but who are your super duper headliners?
Great. So the man in the mask himself, that's Josh Pitterman, who Australian audiences would know primarily as the Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera. So he was the Phantom on the last tour. And I had the great privilege, I've known Josh for years, but I had the great privilege of seeing him in Phantom on London's West End and also seeing him as Jean Valjean in Les Mis. So, you know, leading these international companies in the West End. He's coming. We will see a little bit of his Phantom. I can't tell you in what show. We will see a little bit of his Les Mis. And it's a bit of a Les Mis reunion because Kerrie and Greenland, who won a Helpman Award for her portrayal of Eponine in Les Mis, is coming with us. She just had a huge success in Miss Saigon. And Patrice Tipoki, who's just finished Moulin Rouge. And that man you're seeing right there is a Broadway artist called John Bucchino. And John, really, he wrote, there's so many amazing songs that he wrote. People don't realize that's him who created them all. And he is flying out. He is going to accompany all of these amazing singers in his own musical called It's Only Life, but he'll be at the piano. So it's such a beautiful thing to have the composer playing for you as you sing his music. So that's a real highlight. We've got Queenie van der Zandt, who's famous for just about everything. Natalie Hansu, who's a fantastic cabaret artist. And we're putting them together in not only their own shows, so Queenie's doing a show, Natalie's doing a show, Kerrie Ann's doing a show, but also in these musicals, which are things like It's Only Life with John Bucchino, Marry Me a Little by Stephen Sondheim, and 9 by Maury Eston. So 3 big musicals and 20.
Wow. So this is the Australian Musical Theatre Festival. You're watching Stage Whispers Television Live. It's coming up next month, May 15 to May 19. It's 5 days. You can go 5 days, you can go 2 days, you can go 3 days. And 3, they're getting, you've got, that's fascinating, this Marry Me a Little, which is a compilation of all the leftovers. Sorry to say that, of Stephen Sondheim's musicals, and you're putting it on. That's fascinating.
You know what's amazing is often with musicals, there are great songs that get cut because they don't fit the moment or they're not quite right for the character or even the actor. And so they get left behind and they get another song gets put in. And it was in the 70s that this amazing man called Craig Lucas asked Sondheim if he could have the catalogue. And he put together this show called Marry Me a Little, about 2 people inside an apartment block on a Saturday night. And during the pandemic, I found myself listening to it. And, you know, what's there to do on a Saturday night alone? And you go, oh my gosh, it really had like this whole new resonance. And so I wrote to the Sondheim estate and they allowed me to put in additional songs. And now it's not just 2 people sitting next to each other in an apartment block. It's a whole community of people. We're setting it immersively inside an old hotel. So you're going to go into different rooms and there will be Queenie van der Zandt singing and there will be all these amazing artists. So it's sung in Australian accents. And there are there's verbatim clips of people from the pandemic to give you a context for the songs. And it's just incredible that the Sondheim estate are so excited about this. And these are things that we can only do because it sits in a festival. We couldn't do that here.
Right.
And it's already, sorry, go ahead.
Is it a 1 night or 2 nights?
1 night. All of it's a 1 night. So everything we do is for 1 night, which is, you know, it's already selling out. There are already shows sold out. So book your tickets because we do shows in unusual venues, they have limited capacity. So it's not like showing up to the Regent Theatre where you've got 2,000 seats. You've got to book early.
And you had the privilege of you know, meeting and corresponding with Hal Prince and Stephen Sondheim when they were alive?
Yeah. I did. I sort of can't believe that I can say that, really. That just feels silly. Particularly Hal Prince, who, interestingly enough, I was introduced to by John Bucchino. So John was a very good friend of Hal's, and John's part of that Broadway world. I remember going to Broadway's up to John's birthday one year and just meeting all of these composers, and I was like, "You're joking, aren't you?" But of course, they all just do what they do, which is create and write. And John, he was so amazing. John was so amazing for me to kind of make these introductions, and I did spend time with Hal Prince, and I'll never forget being in Hal's office and talking about directing and looking down at his calendar. He had this kind of paper calendar. He had a line through it the whole day that just said Tyran visit. And I thought, who am I? How did this happen? And
Who am I? Is there a song?
I think I feel that way about the festival. Like Maury Yeston, who wrote Nine, sat with me in the middle, the start of the year, and talked to me about where it came from and the different versions as we created this version. The Sondheim Estate have been involved in Marry Me a Little. John Bucchino is here playing for this. So it's really incredible that you think Launceston is like a little heart of Broadway all the way, in Tasmania.
Absolutely amazing. But there are different focuses to the festival. There are people that are into musicals, that are buffs, that are people that are in musicals and community theatre and professional theatre. But schools is a very important element of the festival. It's a fantastic program you offer.
Yeah, that's right. Look, and we do a program alongside the kind of events that people can go to, which is teaching. Obviously, one of the hats I wear is I'm the head of the Victorian College of the Arts Music Theatre program. So that's what I do. On my passport, it says I'm a teacher. So I say that because I wear a lot of hats, but that world, I'm really passionate about that. We have the best teachers because I have access to them, teach and also give the students a chance to perform. And sometimes it's amazing. Like sometimes the people who come down, they go, I'm not sure if I'll go to that show with all the stars. I might go and see the emerging stars. And it's amazing who we discover. They had an audition portal open for the last month and it finished yesterday. So I've just been going through that going, oh my gosh, there's such incredible talent that we unearth every time. And they have shows. And so, as I said, you can kind of choose where you go, as long as you all end up back at what we call the Diva Den, which is music. And that is the festival bar with a different diva who sings every night and welcomes you with, Tasmanian gins. So good.
Oh, we've got a picture of that. I'll find that in a second. So, tell me, where are the people coming from the festival? Obviously, it's a fantastic opportunity if you're from Launceston, Lonnie. But where are you getting people from around Australia?
Everywhere. They come from everywhere. And that's part of what is so lovely about it. When you said earlier, come for 2 days, come for 3 days, when you come for the 5 days. So basically, David, when I grew up in Newcastle in the 80s, I was like this anomaly that I loved musical theatre. I loved it. But it was this little pocket of the world, and to think that I get to take over a whole city and take it over as music theatre for 5 days, and everybody goes into this thing. Chloe Dallimore is a wonderful artist, and she said a few years ago, she stopped everyone in the bar, and she made a speech out of nowhere, and she said, this feels like it's not just a festival of musical theatre, it feels like it's about humanity. And I really resonate with that because my idea of musical theatre is everything that tells a story through singing, acting, dancing, or a combination of them. So we often get to really explore the form in lots of different ways and combine a little bit of great food and wine.
Well, here we go. We can just do this little trick here, which is we tilt this way. So this is when I was there one year. Amazing gin bar in a beautiful botanic gardens.
Yeah. So that was a show. That amazing man there is a man called Jack Lark. You may know the whiskey label, the Lark whiskey label. That's his parents. And he has his own label for gin. And we made a show. We made a show about how instead of sharing, pairing gins with different bits of food, we paired gins with songs. So he went, oh, what does this one sound like? And then somebody would sing and he would tell us the history of that. So it's a wonderful way to kind of Launceston is one of those international cities of gastronomy, so that's really rare. And I want to lean into all that Launceston gives us. And something like this was a perfect way to kind of connect with the local produce. This year, we're doing a thing called Food Glorious Food, where you go to the harvest markets and there are 5 different singers singing the song Food Glorious Food as they weave their way through the markets, and you hear the story of whatever produce that is from the person who created it. You have a little taste test and then you go to the next one. So I like to kind of create things that look at music theatre in a new way and kind of embed it in the local culture, which is amazing.
Fantastic. So I think that's a wrap. We've got Tyran Parke, who's the Artistic Director of the Australian Musical Theatre Festival. It's on the 15th to the 19th of May in Launceston. Is this your 3rd year or 4th year?
4th year. This is amazing.
4th year.
4th year, yeah.
And it's just so close, particularly to Melbourne, or I mean, everything's not. It depends where you live, of course.
Get there. It's like $50 on a flight. Like, it's so cheap to get there to Launceston, and it takes 45 minutes. So it really is just around the corner, and yet you feel like you've had a massive escape. And just
because it's such a beautiful. That's right. Well, wonderful. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you as always, Tyran Parke from the VCA, from the Australian Musical Theatre Festival, director extraordinaire of Barnum and Sondheim and performer. I mean, and you're into foxes as well, aren't you? That's your
hey, Dave, you don't know this. I mean, you make that casual reference, but in about 2 weeks, I am announcing the next show for my own company, Clovelly Fox. So I just had a window where I thought there's something I want to do. So maybe I'll come back and talk about that. But yes, I'm very into foxes.
You've got some spare time. Oh, well, I can't believe that.
I know. I give myself a month after the festival. But when a show landed in my lap, and when a show like this happens, you go, it's got to happen now. So the fox is a bit of a spirit of creativity. So if I see the fox and this show showed up, you just got to do it.
Thanks, Tyran. Pleasure to speak with you, and enjoy a great festival.
Thanks so much, David. Great to see you again.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.